When you think about marriage, is it just a piece of paper, just a romantic promise? Or is there something more? Well, today we're going to dig into one particular perspective from a Christian guidebook that says, yeah, there's a lot more. And it all centers around this ancient, really powerful idea, the covenant. So this entire guidebook is really built around this one big question. And look, this isn't about saying one type of marriage is better than another. It's about trying to define, from this specific theological viewpoint, what makes the institution unique. So let's unpack their answer. Okay, so the first big idea they throw out there is this contrast. They say we need to move away from how we usually think about agreements, like a contract, and start thinking about something much, much deeper. So what on earth does that actually mean, a covenant relationship? Well, according to this guide, it's not just a legal thing, and it's more than just feeling committed. It's this bond that's supposed to be both super spiritual and really practical, something that shapes, everything about the relationship. And to really get what they're talking about, you kind of have to see these two ideas, contract and covenant, right next to each other. Because the promise at the heart of each one, totally different. And that difference is the key to this whole thing. Okay, so check this out. A contract is basically, I'll do my part as long as you do yours. It's conditional, right? It's all about mutual obligation, and let's be honest, a lot of it is about what am I getting out of this deal? But a covenant, whoa. That's a totally different mindset. It's built on an unconditional promise. The whole focus just flips from getting to giving, from thinking about my needs to building a shared us. And this quote just nails it. I will do my part as I should, whether you always do or not. Wow. I mean, that is a radical idea, right? It's a commitment that doesn't depend on how the other person is doing that day or that week. And the guidebook says, that is what creates the safety, the stability you need for a really deep connection to actually take root. And that deep connection, it has a name, communion. The whole point of this covenant thing, according to the guide, isn't just about sticking it out. It's about creating this protected space for real intimacy, a place where you can share your deepest thoughts and feelings, a sharing of souls, not just a sharing of a house. All right, so you might be thinking, where did this whole covenant marriage idea come from anyway? Is it a modern concept? Well, the guidebook's answer is a definite no. They argue it's not a human invention at all. The word they use is transcendent, and that's a really key term here. What it means is that this idea of marriage is believed to come directly from God, so it stands outside of culture, outside of whatever's trendy or legally accepted at the moment. In this view, its authority isn't based on society, it's based on a divine source, which makes that bond feel, absolute. And this whole concept has deep roots in ancient texts. The guide points right to that famous biblical idea of two people becoming one flesh. But what's fascinating is the original Hebrew word used there, the bak. It's a super strong word. It doesn't just mean join. It means to cling, to cleave, to be stuck to something. It's like being glued together. So it implies this incredible permanence and loyalty. So to explain the purpose of this powerful union, the source brings in another big idea, the parable. We all know what a parable is, right? A simple story with a deeper lesson. And here's how they apply it. In this view, a Christian marriage is supposed to be a living parable. It's not just about the two people in the relationship. It's meant to be this living, breathing picture, a metaphor that actually points to a much bigger spiritual story about the relationship between Christ and the church. So it's less about who are we and more about how does our love tell that bigger story. Okay, so we've talked about the big theological ideas, but what does this look like in the real world? How does it affect people? Well, the source argues that the impact of a covenant marriage ripples out way beyond just the two people involved.
Yeah, the whole point is that a covenant isn't just about two people. It's not a closed system. The health or the unhealth of that marriage creates these waves that travel through families, friendships, and even down through generations.
And this quote, man, it really makes you stop and think. The choices you make in love and faithfulness today are shaping a future for people you may never meet. It's this idea that the small, everyday choices aren't just private. They're actually building a legacy that could impact your grandkids, your great-grandkids. So the guide lays out both sides of this coin. A stable, covenant-based marriage, it can create real emotional security for kids, setting them up for healthier relationships down the line.
But broken covenants, well, they can create these painful cycles of distrust and anxiety that get passed on. But, and this is the hopeful part, they also say that a strong covenant love has the power to break those old cycles and create a totally new future. Okay, so this all sounds great, very profound, but how do you actually do it? Like, what does this look like on a random Tuesday? Well, the last part of the guide is all about that, translating these big ideas into a super simple, actionable game plan. And it all boils down to this one mental shift. You stop thinking like me and you start acting like us, a unified team. That's it. That's the moment when this abstract idea of a covenant becomes real every single day. It's all about becoming an us. And the guide gives you 3 really practical steps to get there. Step 1, just acknowledge it. Say it out loud. We are a team. Step 2, and this is kind of fun, actually name your team. You know, Team Smith or whatever. It sounds a little silly, but it helps make that shared identity feel real. And then step 3, live it out. Intentionally practice being a team every single day. So what does living it out even look like? Well, the guide suggests some really simple but powerful things. Praying together to make sure you're on the same page with your mission. Serving other people as a couple. Actively being each other's biggest cheerleader. And this one's huge, making big decisions together as a unit where you both have an equal say. And this final quote really ties everything together, doesn't it? It connects that practical, day-to-day teamwork right back to that big, transcendent idea from the beginning. It's this beautiful reminder that, in this view, when you get married, you're not just writing your own little love story, you're actually joining a much, much bigger one. Which leaves us with this final thought-provoking question from the guidebook. What really changes when we stop looking at marriage as mine or yours and start seeing it as ours? What shifts in our priorities, our arguments, and our dreams when we truly embrace that shared us?